everything was included that the subdivision ordinance calls for in the sketch plan. We have the Waldo County soil survey in there and a written project narrative. The topo map is not required because it's less than 10 acres. So does the board have any questions at all on general questions tonight?
I do. I'm looking through the subdivision ordinance, but I'm wondering, do we have minimum lot sizes and road frontage?
That's all in the land use ordinance, yeah. Yeah. It meets all that.
Okay.
Basically half acre, right?
Yeah. It's a little less than a half
Less
acre.
than half acre, yeah.
It's less than a half acre.
20,000.
So we're
What
looking
is
for
it?
any, I'm sorry,
What is the minimum? You said
something
it's a little less than half acre.
less than a half acre per lot, yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Exactly?
20,000 square feet.
20,000?
It's
Okay,
a mixed residential zone in
Right.
the land use ordinance.
20,000,
I think,
okay.
you have it there. I think, I'm going from memory on that, but I think it was, because when I looked, it's .54 of an acre on their lot one, or something, one was .49. Well, 20,000 square feet is less than half an acre. Half an acre being 43,560. So yeah, it comes in, no, it meets the standard.
It's actually 7,500 square feet with public sewer and water.
For the mixed residential.
Yeah, for mixed residential. It's 20,000 without public sewer and water. Okay? So I'm looking for questions on the board about potential problems or issues that we might bring up in future discussions. And really not to go in detail on anything at this point.
You mentioned being kind of a swale, I think. Is there any wetland in there on that lot 1 and 2?
I believe there will be a little bit of, in the northeast corner of lot number 4, around that drainage swale, which I will show.
But won't impact the site as far as the building.
I don't believe so.
I know it doesn't show up on the soils map either.
No. You know, they dug a culvert, it's the actual drainage ditch is on the transmission power line property there. And it goes down probably 3/4 of the way and then drains off onto his property. But it's an actual dug ditch off his property.
Tom, did you have anything?
Well, I guess this was talking about drainage. Where approximately is is it, over here, over there?
I'm gonna guess it's gonna start kind of at the northeast corner here and
Okay,
head easterly.
okay.
It kind of all drains downhill.
Darrell, can you draw that in for our next meeting?
Yes, I'll have it all
All right,
done by
so that'll take care of that.
That's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Bruce, anything else? Keith?
Sounds pretty straightforward.
All right. Laura? Yeah. You're okay?
I do have another question. I inadvertently, there's a little piece on the north side of this power
Right.
line.
Yep.
And we'll get that straightened out, whether it will go with, would that be acceptable to go with lot 4? I mean, it's kind of separated from,
I don't think you can do it because of the CMP.
CMP just has an easement across.
Oh, it's just an
actually
easement?
overlays this cold
Yeah,
road, so
and there is a problem, so you know, with the deed,
With what deed?
with the latest deed. That piece is called out, looks like a polygram.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's 100, it's 400 foot and 40 on the other, and it's a mistake, a scribe mistake in that deed.
Yes.
If you go back 2 deeds, you'll find out that it is 400 by 400.
This lot?
Yeah. 10 by 400 by 400.
Oh, yes, 10 by 400 by 400.
Yeah,
Yes,
right, but the deed now says it's 10 by 400 by 40.
right,
One leg is
Right.
40,
right, I did,
and that's a scribe error in the deed,
yes, I have that in my information.
yeah.
Well, where CMP goes to, as you say, that's an easement there, but who owns that property?
I believe it's James Colcord and Richard Colcord.
Richard Colquitt owns it,
I believe so, yes.
and he has the easement across.
I think Bill Terry, didn't Bill Terry say that was true? Yeah,
Okay, and then Colby owns the little strip on the other side.
right.
Which we'll probably just kind of let that, I mean, I can't do it personally, but I'll talk to Mr. Colby and see if we can get that taken care of.
I figured that was probably in there as a right-of-way to be able to get to the Colquitt property for something.
Yeah, it was in there for, I don't know what purpose. It was supposedly a right-of-way at one point, but I think it was supposed to go in on this Terry Lee Kilpatrick Otis property, but it never reached it.
But right now, it's a separate lot divided by Colquitt's ownership,
Yes.
not contiguous, yeah.
That was the only thing that I could see that would
Right.
create a problem.
Anything else, Darrell?
I don't believe so.
I think you have the checklist, which was for the preliminary plan, which was taken right from the ordinance itself.
Yes, yes, I did.
And I believe that when you submit that, well, let's go one step first. On-site this is for the board, on-site inspection. That's a maybe in the ordinance. We don't have to do it. What's your feelings on it?
I know where the property is, drive by it 2 or 3 times a week. Walked over some of it years ago, carrying a rifle.
I think, as Laura said, it's pretty straightforward. I don't personally think we need an on-site
I wouldn't
inspection.
think we would, no. If it was a complicated thing, I would be different.
Tom?
Yeah, it's, we don't have the issue of water or sewer, I mean, on site, because we have town water and sewer. That would be my biggest concern, and like Bruce, you know, I go by that regularly as well. I don't see any major issue for a site visit.
Keith, you don't either? Take it. All right. Can we get a motion not to have a on-site inspection?
No more.
Second?
I'll second.
Sorry about that.
It's been moved and, it's been moved and seconded that there's no need to do an on-site inspection. All those in favor? 500.
I guess my other question would be, where it is it too small to have to do contours?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is the property too small to have to provide any contours on the property? It's relatively flat. I know in the sketch phase here, I don't have to bring in a USGS topo.
No, you don't, because it's less than 10 acres. Any comments from the board?
Don't show drainage on there. It's the only thing that would impact it. It's not steep sloped.
Tom?
Yeah, I just would want to confirm that it's not like a marshy piece of property, it's not really wet or boggy.
No, but I'm gonna have a wetland person in there to walk it, and I'll have those shown on
The next round,
yes.
great.
Okay, I guess we should take a motion on that we don't require a contour map of the land. It's been moved and seconded that we do not require a contour map of land. All those in favor?
Waive that requirement.
500. Okay, and that'll appear on the next round on the preliminary plan also. How soon are you going to have the preliminary in, Darrell? Do you have any idea?
I'm hoping by the time I need to.
Okay, let me give you a rundown. And I'm sure we have to have a public notice 2 weeks in the paper prior to the meeting. So it looks like if you can get it in by the October meeting, the board can say at that October meeting whether it's complete or not. Okay, if it's judged complete, then we can have the preliminary plan meeting in November, because it'll have to be advertised in the paper.
The final one in November.
No, the preliminary one. We're talking the next step is a preliminary one. After the preliminary is the final plan.
I believe I won't have time to get a preliminary plan in by October, no, I won't.
Okay, so then it would be November.
When do I have to have the information in, I guess?
Well,
2 weeks prior to October?
no, well, yeah. But we have to judge it complete first. Judge the preliminary plan is complete. And our meeting in October would be the 10th, which is Columbus Day. So we had postponed those, didn't we?
Comes a holiday,
I was
goes
gonna
to
say, the holiday.
the next one.
So we're going to have the meeting on the 17th, the following week. Do you want to do it that way?
Sounds good.
Is that all right with everybody? Okay, I take it. So you'd have to have it in by the 17th if you had the preliminary one in. And then we could judge that complete on the 17th and schedule the meeting for November 14th, the preliminary meeting.
I'm losing here on that one, but I thought it went preliminary and then final if everything was deemed complete.
Not really. Okay, the final plan application, within 6 months after the approval of the preliminary plan, the applicant shall submit 10 copies of an application for approval of the final plan with all supporting materials at least 21 days prior to a scheduled meeting of the board.
So if I have a complete application at next month, that would be the preliminary, if it was deemed complete,
Yes, sir.
and I have 21 days to get.
All right.
So is there going to be 21 days between October 17th and November?
Well, it'll be close. Well, if the board wants to, we could drop it back a week to make it 21 days and have it the 19th of December. Is that a problem? A problem with anything? Okay. If it wasn't for
We've got the October meeting on the 17th.
That's correct.
Are you looking at November?
Yeah, it would be, what, November 21st?
Why would we need to look at November meeting?
Because of the amount of days. Because it has to be advertised and we have to have a public hearing. Public hearing has to be advertised twice, I believe in there. In the newspaper prior to the meeting.
Couldn't we just do it in December?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Couldn't we just review it at the December meeting?
Yeah, we could. The final plan. The final plan, Laura?
That's what you're referring to.
Yeah. Does that work for you?
Affect you.
I can check with my client, I can't speak for him, but I think he's, wants to get this done as soon as he possibly can, which he loses a whole month of November.
How soon can you get the preliminary plan in?
I'll have it in by the end of, probably next week.
Could we move that meeting, October meeting up 2 days or back 2 days, a whole week? Settlement meeting the 12th? No, I'm looking for a month, in September.
Okay, so you're saying by the 24th you would have a preliminary of this month? Would the board want to schedule a special meeting on the 26th to review the preliminary plan? The 26th of September? Just to look at it, compare it with our check sheet, and say it's complete or not complete?
It's okay with me.
Laura?
I don't object to that.
Bruce?
I don't have a problem.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah,
All right.
I was just looking at the...
So if we had a meeting on the 26th, I'm sorry, of September, we could do the preliminary plan October 17th, and then November 14th, we could do the final plan. Would that help you?
Yes.
The public meeting?
If you decide not to hold a public hearing.
I think it still has to be advertised.
You have to have no receipt on it.
We'll just keep it the regular meeting. That 2 weeks is not gonna make a big difference.
Well, yeah, but it gets you into November, rather than waiting to December to do the final plan.
Right, but it's changing a lot of dates here for you people.
No, we're trying to work with you.
We're flexible.
Everybody agreed that we'd have another meeting this month on the 26th,
Okay.
if you can have that to us.
Yes.
Okay, and then, because of Columbus Day, we'll meet on the 17th of October and do the preliminary plan then.
Okay.
And,
And then the November 23rd is still holding?
yeah,
Okay.
it'll be the final plan done on the 14th of November. and the 14th and 17th would be regular meetings, so that you're not really putting us out at all.
So September 26th is going to be the next special meeting
Right,
at 6:30,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then October 17th
That's correct,
at 6:30,
right.
and then November 23rd,
No, November 21st,
21st.
right. No, I'm sorry, 14th. Yeah, we don't have to move it. Keith, you're right, I'm sorry.
Let's stay out of Thanksgiving week.
Can't come, that's my brother's.
We usually have it during armistice time.
Does that sound better?
That sounds perfect.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
all right, no problem. Thanks for coming tonight.
What's the 11/14 look like? It's not a holiday.
Say hi to your father for me.
There's a holiday, Thanksgiving.
No, what's used to be Armistice Day. That's just, we're doing here, okay.
Veterans Day, the
It's
11th, yeah,
That's the correct date. Sometimes we used to have it on the Monday.
yeah. We should be fine.
Yeah, I just,
I'd
looking at that, this is whether that was another Monday holiday.
rather schedule a public meeting on this. I'd rather schedule a public meeting on this.
Public hearing,
Yeah.
I just looked and said if the board decides,
Yeah,
the board could just say, no, we go right to final.
yeah, I don't think it's wise.
You got to, once the application comes in, if you look at the, you got to notify the abutter then
Voters, yeah, right there,
that you have received an application.
yeah. Okay, folks, let's move on to CEO report.
I really don't, excuse me, I really don't have anything to report. It's busy, but it's just with building permits and keeping up with the inspections that are going on. There's nothing outside of this subdivision that's come in for us to look over, so pretty much things are going pretty decent. And there will be, I have found out something, I will bring this up because it's going to affect the planning board. The St. Clair subdivision in Sandy, the second part of it that we done in 2006, there's been 3 lots sold, transferred in that subdivision to abutters. According to the way that was written up and approved by the planning board, there was no supposed to be any further subdivision or lot changes without prior planning board approval. This all came about when a piece of property was sold that one of the abutters had bought an additional parcel of the property, but when they sold this property, they only sold part of the property, they didn't sell the other part. This particular property, both of them are conforming lots, but because they do not and have not been approved by the planning board, then it's an illegal lot. And if somebody comes into me today and wanted to get a permit, they wouldn't get one, not for me, because it's not been approved by you guys or by the planning board. All that being said is that I've sent out letters to Mr. St. Clair, and I also sent letters to the purchasers of these properties so that they're aware of what's happened. So that is something that we will be facing in the future, I'm sure, at least I will be, but I want to bring it to your attention because, again, the way the subdivision is written up, the way you guys wrote it in there, no further subdivision can happen no matter what, not even with any exceptions, even though it's in a butter. And I did run that by Kristen because I wasn't sure on it. I wanted to make sure, and Kristen says the way it's written, that's exactly the way it's got to go. So that is a heads up. Will be coming down to us, I'm guarantee. Bruce, you're thinking?
All those lots going to be sold to abutters? I thought one time you mentioned there was another outside party coming in to buy.
There is, but I have not, there is. I heard that. I also heard the other day when I was up there doing an inspection on one of the other properties that a property has been sold, but it hasn't come through our deeds, anything in that sense yet. So if there's a 4th parcel that's been sold, I'm not fully aware of it 100% because there's been no deed transfer that we've seen yet. Otherwise than that, I know that there's 3 that have been transferred since 2014,
And all to abutters.
and they're all to abutters. It's not a big issue in the sense, 2 of the lots are non-conforming lots. One of them can't be built on. The other lot could be built on, because it is a conforming lot for that land use size and everything that's required there. But because it didn't go through the process, I couldn't very well, when I found this one out, I went back and looked at the other 2. And I couldn't very well write a letter just to say that there was one without all of them, because they are all in violation, the way it's written in the approval on that. You understand what I'm saying? One is like .72 acres, one is 2 point something acres, and the other one's just a little over an acre. 3 lots. It requires, again, I think at 60,000 square feet it's required in that district.
Take an example of one of those lots is a buildable lot. It is already numbered on there as a lot in the subdivision.
No,
It's not, okay.
no.
That's what-
It has a tax map and a lot number, but it's not an approved subdivision lot. Right. The other ones have been, the other 2 have been incorporated into the existing lot that was there, but again, because of the specifics, the way it's written.
Changes the subdivision.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right, our subdivision map does not pair with the town
Tax
map.
map.
Right,
And the other one there is a legal-sized lot, and it could be sold.
it could be, absolutely,
It'd be on the tax map and not on the subdivision map.
right. And like I said, if somebody bought that property and they came in and wanted a building permit, I wouldn't give them one because it doesn't meet the standards that we set forth.
It's easy enough to correct.
It is,
All he has
absolutely.
to do is come in and amend the subdivision.
Absolutely, I don't think it's a big issue, but again, it's, like I've said before, and like we've said before, it's got to the point where we've got to follow these right to the letter, because if we don't, it could come around and create problems for the town. So, yeah.
Thank you, Randy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next item is other business. Under other business, I'd like to make the board aware of a couple changes that are ongoing right now and will probably be brought to the town meeting as changes in the ordinance. The shoreland zoning ordinance, as you recall, I inadvertently left out a paragraph out of the ordinance we approved. So we have to insert this paragraph in there. The paragraph is about registering with the county registry of deeds, specifics of the shoreland zoning on a particular application. So that has to be changed. It also will have to be changed, and we're talking with Herb about Half Moon Pond ordinance and doing away with that, and incorporating a few items in the shoreland zoning ordinance. And the shoreland zoning ordinance, the Half Moon Pond ordinance reference would have to be taken out of that. The Historic Preservation Committee is working on a demolition delay ordinance. And what that amounts to is if it's an historic property and they come to Randy for a demolition permit, it has to be approved by the Historic Preservation Committee. And there are certain reasons that it could be approved and certain reasons that it would be denied. The delay, however, is only for 120 days. After that 120 days, whoever the applicant can demolish the building. 120 days gives the Historic Preservation Committee time to take pictures of the building, record any other pertinent facts in their file, and possibly talk to the owner about having it, if they could move it or some other thing to save the building itself. So that will probably come up at town meeting. The third item is, I'll give you a copy of it, what we've worked on so far. What it amounts to is a new designation of residential properties. Okay, what you have in front of you, the R1 designation is basically the same as an R designation. The only difference being, there's a couple things added. Let me go over the area first. The bottom map with a red on, the red indicates it's zoned commercial. Okay. We've had questions from people on Black Road as to why their property is zoned commercial rather than residential. We've also had questions on Knox Brothers Avenue of why all that is zoned commercial and their residents there. We've had questions from the Historical Preservation Committee as to why the old buildings on Route 1 are zoned commercial. This was done in 2001, I think, originally, and wasn't approved till 2006 at the town meeting for the comprehensive plan. And in talking to Bill Terry, he is really quite emphatic about Knox Brothers Avenue. To make that commercial, someone would have to buy 2 of those properties, bulldoze the existing houses down, basically to make a decent commercial property. And then if you overlay it with this other, with these maps on the first map sheet, most of the time you can see where the red comes through, okay? What you have is basically on the ocean side of Route 1, going from the Full Gospel Church, which is lot number 4, where it says written Park Street in there, going out east to Navy Street. We have all residential housing in there, and it's zoned here again commercial. Since 2006, when it was approved, there's been no commercial properties or no commercial use of any of those properties, with the exception of I guess, the Canvas place, which is a home occupation. So that goes out to Navy Street, and then the lady at number 4 on the eastern side of Navy Street there, it's lot number 4, has also brought up quite a bit of controversy about her place being commercial. I think you all remember that. And then on the other side, the side away from the ocean, houses on Main Street, you'll see that starting there at 29, 28, 32, and it goes back through 31. And you'd come west down to the Artist House, which is number 102, just on the east side of Mortland Road. And that would be all changed to residential, because as you can see, the lot sizes in there are very small. And again, the Artist House there at number 102 is a very nice older building, and it would be shame to lose that building. And then you see that we've changed all the ones, except the ones, all the ones on Knox Brothers Avenue, except the 2 that belong to the museum that are actually on Route 1, they would remain commercial. And then it goes all the way back to the school-owned property there.
So you don't consider the home fort maybe just commercial?
No,
Really?
no, it's a B and B
For the restaurant?
with a restaurant. Right.
What about when they're building a new garage?
That doesn't, it's not affected by this.
I guess I consider a restaurant, a walk-in restaurant, to be a commercial one, not a residence.
If you look at the R1 zoning, restaurants are listed there.
And we went through the thing with A.V. Nichols all the time when it was owned by Trundy's there, or whatever. The wedding and event center and the rest of it.
Mhm.
What is it that the residents of this district are hoping to gain by rezoning it? What is their objection to the current zoning?
As commercial, you'd be, what the residents would gain, well, first of all, they can have more yard sales. They don't want commercial buildings next to them.
Yeah, I can understand that you brought up the woman lot
Right.
4 on East Main Street.
Right.
She was objecting to her property. It seemed like I could understand why people wouldn't want their neighbors zoned commercial, but why would someone be concerned about their own property being zoned commercial? Because they can control how their own property is developed or not. So I was just
No, they-
curious what the advantage was.
They really can't if it's sold, no?
Well, if it's sold, they're not living there anymore,
Right.
so why would they care?
So why would you want your neighbor's property commercial if you live there?
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. I understand people being concerned about how their neighbor's
Right.
property is owned, but I was just wondering if there was an advantage to the individual homeowner for their own personal property to be zoned residential versus commercial.
Other than yard sales?
Right.
And decrease possibly in their value of their property because it's next to a commercial?
Right, so it's primarily a concern of how the neighborhood lots would be developed.
Right.
Got it. That was my question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, the R zone wouldn't make any business that's there non-conforming.
Some of this is quite obvious, and some of the others, and what do we have for available commercial?
The commercial right now is being done, as you well know, from this area east.
And that's a limited, that's a commercial 3, is it?
I'd have to look, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm just thinking on it, because
I-
it's a 10,000 square foot max and some other things. And it limits what is zoned as commercial in town, particularly around the lake, but I say some of this is very obvious, like Knox Brothers Avenue, some of the Black Roads, some of those in the small lots.
Right.
Someone's gonna buy it, but they can. It's just, when's General Dollar gonna open? When is General Dollar Store going to open? You know,
The end of the month, by then, that's sufficient for.
And as you all know, this is not written in stone, so it could be changed 5 years from now.
yeah, it'll be changing the comp plan. And if the citizens want it that way,
Right,
they'll vote it that way.
right.
It's a dynamic document. I tend to disagree, I guess, on the scope of what goes in the residence, like a commercial restaurant,
Mhm.
it's open all the time, or a hotel. Inn gets away from the bed and breakfast classification on size.
The lot sizes weren't changed in this. They remained the same as they are in the commercial area, along with the minimum road frontage. Well, let me give this to everybody, obviously, and think about it. And we can bring it up at the next meeting if you want. Because what the next step is to notify every one of those homeowners.
Yep.
And the guy's, well, an antique shop down beside the stream, she's got an open sign up there now, I think. Doesn't affect him being on the residential.
Where's this now?
You know where the mill stream is?
Right.
Next, right, the lot right beside of it. Oh, I can't remember the name of it now. You got an antique, well, it's, artwork and stuff,
You talking Mike Nami's place?
yeah.
Across Village Road. But he's not,
It's not,
it's not incorporated in this one.
no.
That's, beyond Mountain, on Pike.
It's really just Knox Brothers
And
Avenue.
he's in shoreline zoning there, so, commercial.
That's on the other side of Mount Ephraim, isn't it?
West side.
West,
Just across the mill stream.
Yeah, that isn't involved in this.
Right.
sort of across from where Dick Damaris lives.
Yeah,
Oh, the gallery, the art gallery.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an antique.
It's,
I was close, they both started today.
no, it doesn't involve them.
and that's home occupation.
Yeah.
I think we have commercial looking business. Controlling.
And all these houses are surrounded by residential on the water side. Rudolph's the only other one that has the lighthouse place. Wouldn't affect him because that's a home occupation.
I'm seeing wood.
How's your other neighbor there? Is he, his health, Bob?
He's home,
Yes.
minus a leg.
Hmm?
Minus a leg.
I saw a
Yeah.
lot of vehicles there the other day.
Yeah, he had it amputated.
Maybe something more serious had happened.
And again, if his wife, or his deceased wife, still had her business, it wouldn't affect that at all. That business she had in the barn.
Frames.
Antiques or whatever.
And we get the upholstery one.
Yeah,
Another home
and
occupation.
another home occupation.
The
right.
the bag guy.
Yeah. So it actually doesn't affect anybody that lives in any of these houses.
It's interesting. We have a lot of commercial, we have a lot of businesses, let's put it that way, kind of commercial. A lot of businesses operating out of our residence.
More than we even know.
Yep.
I'm sure.
But that's the ones that we do know, that both have the signs up and.
So basically speaking, you're saying you want, somebody wants to, everything that's red on here to become residential.
No, no.
The red,
Just the red on this top map.
the one that showed through,
We got the little red dots.
Yeah, where the little red,
the bleeding ones.
right.
Yeah, they probably will be.
And this does go along with the amendments to district boundaries and the land use, which says a new district designation is more appropriate for protecting and management of existing uses and resources within the affected area.
And it's being more restrictive rather than less restrictive.
Right.
So you don't have to go with a 500-foot notification. I don't know.
Yeah, and as I said before, the development seems to be from where the garage is or up in that area where Aaron Fethke moved, and you've got Kurt with his house for sale there. And so any other questions? Laura? Keith?
I'm all set, I guess.
Bruce?
Yeah.
Tom?
You draw it up and you have a public hearing, hear what people say and how they vote on it.
Well, think about it over the next month or next couple of weeks, and why don't we again look at it on the second meeting on the 26th.
And this was developed because of resident requests.
Yeah, resident request, yeah.
So you're gonna look at it on the special meeting?
I'm sorry, say it again?
You said we're gonna look at it on the special meeting on the 26th?
Yeah, why don't we just
I
comments?
do want, just double
Yeah,
check it. Okay.
Yeah, just comments on it, because we do have to get letters out to each one of these households, and there's something like 100 and some to get out.
Give you something to do.
Yeah. And then, we'll get any response back within,
Draw up the wording and get it in public hearing,
yeah. And we'll have
and
a,
get them in the warrant
yeah, well, we've got,
to change the comprehensive plan.
well, no, we don't have to change the comprehensive plan,
Zoning.
the land use
Land
ordinance.
or, excuse me, land use.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And again, if we, there's other things in that land or use ordinance that may be changed, and one of them being that demolition delay ordinance is incorporated into the land use ordinance. And that really doesn't pertain to the planning board, it's more or less to the code enforcement officer. The demolition delay part of the, demolition delay? Because any of the demolition has to go through the code enforcement officer.
But that would give the Historic Preservation Committee the power to institute that delay via Randy.
Yeah, the power to institute it, you're right. And, yeah, and then after the 120 days, no matter what they say, it could be demolished.
See, it is right now, someone can want demolished buildings.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
And,
At least gives a breather where we might otherwise lose historic building, which is, could be kind of scary.
right, that did happen to the building behind the museum there. So, but there's also a clause in there that says if it's a health or hazard of any kind, that doesn't happen. Randy can issue a demolition order on it. If it's falling down and, a nuisance or whatever, I'm sorry, but it's got to be taken down. And that would override it.
Next door.
So yeah, you're right, and that's, yeah.
Yeah,
Jason?
I'm not against the idea, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. I think it makes sense.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So they're working on that, and that would be part of the land use ordinance because demolition is Randy's part of the land
But
use ordinance.
I guess the question that comes up is, does the property then have to be designated as historic for that? Or is it just somebody says, oh, that's an old house, historic? In Bangor, we had historic areas
Right,
where those properties were all historic,
right.
or deemed historic. We could maybe go up Mount Ephraim Road 3 miles and deem it. That property isn't necessarily an historic block, maybe like downtown is. Would that be under their purview as well?
It's possible. Anything over 50 years old, it has to be 50 years or more older, okay?
That's the way the wording's gonna be.
Pardon?
That's the way the wording is gonna be, not part of the historic district, which is named buildings.
Right.
So 50 years
It
old,
can be part of that district.
but
Does
50
that
years
mean
old,
like a ranch built in the sixties would be considered a historic building?
No.
Well, the
Yeah.
committee would then deem that, it would make that judgment if it was a great ranch house, I guess. But I think there's some subjectivity to that, which we then put our faith in the Historic Preservation Commission, which I'm okay with. I don't think that they're going to paint with a broad brush.
No, and I'm sorry I didn't print what they had already talked about for you. It's not finalized, so that's
we haven't
why I
seen the
did
wording
it.
on it.
There's 3 reasons it could be deemed that way if it's not on the historic register. Off the top of my head, one is some person that influenced history in Searsport lived there. Okay. Sam Houston House would be an example. Maybe one of the Carver houses, one of the, ship captain houses. That being on the National Register, and there was one other thing, but there's only 3 reasons it could be deemed as an historic preservable building, if you will. No, probably the ranch house that's 50 years old wouldn't fall in that class, so, no.
My house would be that old.
Right. The reason it's 50 years is because that's what the State Historic Preservation Committee deems as an older, 50 years or more.
That's us.
Most of this board.
Yeah. So, I'll get you, once they approve what they're wording, then I'll get you a copy of it. But they're still working on the wording.
I listened to that the other night.
Pardon?
I
Did you?
listened to that the other night.
Yeah, they're all, you can listen to them. But I just want to let you know what's happening before you hear it at Tozer's or whatever. Because, you know, the board should know what's going on. Any other questions that I can try and answer? Nope. Okay, open to the public.
Where is our
I
public?
don't have any. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion if we adjourn.
Very good. All those in favor? Quick. 500. Thank you.